everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to ChasingCinema.com's official YouTube channel. I'm your host, Jacob Tiranno, and today I'm going to be recapping week 3 of my 365-day movie challenge. So far, so good. I really haven't had many bumps in the road. I would say the only thing really to kind of note for this week is that I have watched things really late. One of the films I went and saw was a midnight release because they canceled the press screening, but we'll get into that later. Before we get into that, real quick, I last weekend, or just a couple days ago, did my top 10 films of 2015. If you've not seen that yet, I highly recommend that. I did it with my good friend, Mr. James Shue. You can click the link above here or here. I want to say it's on this side, so click here. A bunch of links will drop down. You'll be able to watch that video. It's great. My top 10 films are, I think, are phenomenal. If you've not seen any of them, I really recommend checking them out. Excuse me. So let's hop right into it. Day one. On Monday, I watched Goodnight Mommy, a film that came out technically in 2014, but released in the States here in 2015. It's a it's an Austrian film that is considered a horror type film, and it's basically follows the story of two twin boys who, after their mom has facial reconstruction surgery, is bandaged all up, who just in general looks very, very terrifying, starts acting strange, start doing weird things, and the kids start becoming skeptical if that's really their mother under the gauze. And the movie becomes their mystery in finding out, is that really their mother or not. Now, this movie is, like I said, an Austrian horror film, not like the horror films in the States. So don't look for pop-out scares and really cheesy effects. No, it tends to be in different countries. Horror is used to more or less give us a feeling of dread. And, you know, some films in America do that, but most of them are there for the cheap scares. More like a haunted house, whereas watching a foreign film, it's like being locked somewhere that you can't get out. It gives you anxiety. It makes you wonder. It just gives you this horrible feeling. I'm sure all of you know what dread is, but this movie is no different in that, in the sense that there is no really pop-out scary moments. There are some freaky moments. There are some moments that I go, whoa, 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 but nothing too scary. However, the movie does kind of become very intense, very, I'd even say a little bit disturbing, not on the sense of like, I would deter people from watching disturbing, but it's like, oh man, oh, I know. Sometimes, it's hard to just always put things in a word, especially when you're doing a video on the fly like that. Sometimes you just got to use reactions and noises like, to get my point across. But nonetheless, a movie I really, really enjoyed. The twins played by Lucas and Ellis Schwartz, which I believe are their actual names in the movie, which is quite interesting. And the mother played by Suzanne Wust. Great movie, really, really wonderful example of why I prefer foreign horror over American horror, especially as of late, even though a horror film did end up on my top 10 list, 2015. Again, go check that video out. I still really enjoyed this movie. Very, very great. Not sure exactly where it is about. Oh, I believe right now it is available on Amazon Prime. So make sure to go check that out as soon as you can. The following night, I watched a movie that I get a lot of questions about from the UK, from Brian Hegland, called Legend, the film that stars Tom Hardy as Reggie and Ronnie Cray, two twin gangsters who kind of famous in British history that kind of took over London, or the East End of London in the 1960s. I would say, if I could say anything to sum up 2015, is that it was for sure the year of Tom Hardy, with Legend, with The Revenant, and of course Mad Max Fury Road. The man had a great year. Legend is no different, though I would say it was my least favorite of those three films. It's not bad at all. It's actually a really, really solid gangster picture, but I will say the best part about it is actually Tom Hardy in both performances, balancing himself as two different characters, mind you. He plays both twins, Reggie and Ronnie. One who is out there, strange, odd, a little bit off, suffers from mental illness, and really, really has an odd some odd mannerisms about him. And then we have the other twin who is more suave, more cool, more collected, though he has issues, issues alone. But watching them two face off in a scene and seeing how different Tom Hardy plays both of them is quite phenomenal. Armie Hammer did this in The Social Network, which is probably one of the more recent times an actor has played twins. But I think this movie is good. I think that its story is, I think everything about it is good. And I would say better than your average gangster picture. One of the better gangster pictures I can think of as of late. However, like I said, I think the highlight here is Tom Hardy. Taron Egerton is in this picture. Emily Browning is also in this picture. But honestly, the one thing people are going to talk about walking away from this is Hardy's performance as both twins. I would also really say that this is a movie that I know people have been really anticipating seeing in the States, though because of the mixed reviews, it didn't open wide here in the States when it was supposed to. The whereabouts of this one, I'm not exactly sure if it's released in the States or not yet, but a very, very good movie, and I highly recommend checking it out when you do. Oh, but I will say, watch it with subtitles. To be honest, I like watching films with subtitles on them. I can't always hear what they're saying, and subtitles are always very helpful in that. Sometimes they're so big or so oddly transcribed that they do get in the way. But 90% of the time, I'm watching subtitles if I've never seen it, but especially in this movie, the vernacular and the things that they speak. The way that they talk can be very, very difficult to hearing. So I would recommend watching it with subtitles if you watch it in your own home. The following day, I watched the brand new movie, The Fifth Wave, from Jay Blakeson, which is based off of the series of young adult novels, which stars Chloe Grace Moretz and Matthew Zuck. If you've not seen our review for this movie, we actually released a full-on review. You could go on the eye again up here. You click it, a bunch of links drop down my top 10, my review for The Fifth Wave, and the review for my next movie, but we'll get to that in a second. Fifth Wave, if you've seen a young adult movie, chances are you've seen pretty much the basics of them all, right? We have a strong female character who is involved in some sort of catastrophe, either it be vampire and werewolf invasion, even though I guess you wouldn't quite classify that as an invasion, but taking over a communist capital or dictating capital. There's the Allegiant and Insurgent, which they're all about coding everybody. You've seen it's about usually the end of world type stuff and a strong girl and a love triangle, and that's exactly the formula that Fifth Wave goes into. Not much different. However, the Fifth Wave wasn't that spectacular in any means. I would say the movie is about below average. Nothing too exciting, not too many memorable characters, not too many memorable moments, except one, but I would consider it a spoiler alert. So if you've not seen this picture yet and you look forward to, skip ahead 2 seconds. If you don't care, just bear with me, because this is kind of revealing a twist. This is an actual line of dialogue that I have to tell you, me and my fellow good friend, Mr. Josh Bell of Las Vegas Weekly, laughed out loud at. There's a point in the scene where the characters have realized that they are not fighting these, what do they call them in the movie? I can't even remember. The outsiders or the others or something along those lines. But they're not of our, they're aliens, so to speak. They say, we're not fighting the Fifth Wave. We are the Fifth Wave. That's the kind of movie you're getting with the Fifth Wave. The next day. So, as a critic, most of the times I see brand new movies, I see them in a press screening. I'm invited by the studio reps who are companies that are hired by the studios to find people like me to review these films. And I was invited to a screening that ended up getting canceled. It wasn't allowing press, and that was Dirty Grandpa. They decided to go a different marketing route. And so I ended up going to see the movie at midnight anyway. Dirty Grandpa, which I reviewed right up here, you click the white eye and scroll down, click the review for that, is the worst film I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, you might think I'm exaggerating and think I'm being harsh, but ever since I saw the film on Thursday evening, I've been trying to think of a movie that I hated more than I hated Dirty Grandpa. Last year, I gave 2 0 stars out on my reviews. We do out of 4 stars on chasingcinema.com. Also, you can find all my reviews down here in the description box, again, with that wide eye. And we do out of 4. I've only given out 2 zeros, and I gave them out in the same year. One for Vacation and one for Unfinished Business. I would watch those films back to back for 48 hours before I had to sit through this offensively bad, horribly written, stupid movie. For those of you that watch me and know my body of work, know that I usually don't use terms like that, and I try not to be mean. But then there may be odd, very rare times a movie comes in and that is so bad and so cheap that it offends me in what I do. And I know that's not me looking down at a high horse saying, oh, I'm this person who gets to look down on things. No. As a human being, as an audience member at an actual general audience screening, I've never seen something that bad and offensively horrible. And I did do a little video on it, but I chose not to review this film because of how bad it was. It was a waste of my time, and that's all I saw this movie as. At least most movies that are not good at least gave it an effort, and I will respectively label my issues, but this is a movie that I found offensively bad and not worth even talking about. I hate the fact that I'm even giving it so much time right now. Don't go see Dirty Grandpa. You will hate it unless you find pedophilia, bestiality, and things of that nature funny. And if you do, well, then that's on you. The next night, I watched another film from 2015 that was getting some Oscar buzz, but obviously did not really get a place in the Oscar nominees, and that is Macbeth, the new film starring Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard. This movie I've been excited for because I'm a huge William Shakespeare fan. I love Macbeth in particular. Hearing about it, Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard, 2 wonderful actors, I was really, really excited about this. And then the movie kind of just whispered away, and I don't mean in the sense that it disappeared, because it didn't, but it ended up striking a deal with Amazon, and I believe that is now how you could see this film, or will be able to see this film very, very shortly. But it never had like a wide release here in Las Vegas, at least. And so finally getting to see it, I was very, very excited, and I was like, fine, I could sit down and watch this movie that I've been wanting to see for a long time. And it was good. I think that Macbeth is a very good movie. I think that if you're a Shakespeare fan, you'll appreciate the film. It's very in the attitude of Shakespeare, in the sense that it's not a very structured A, B, C, and D kind of visual story. I mean, it's very kind of all over the place. There's a lot of going back and forth. You don't always know where you are or what moment in time we're in. But I like that style. I actually really did enjoy that. And Michael Fassbender and Marion Cotillard are phenomenal. But the movie really kind of lacks that emotional connection. It doesn't give you anything to really kind of suck yourself into the movie or really be absorbed. I mean, it's beautiful to look at. I mean, some of the sequences and shots in this movie in particular are some of the most beautiful things I've seen this year. But there was nothing for me to hold onto and dig my nails into really, really love. So that was kind of a disappointment for me, but still a great movie. And I say that about Macbeth because it is good, but it is not great. And that's kind of a bummer. Okay, and then while shopping at Walmart, I picked up this baby. That's right, Abbott and Costello Meet the Monster Collections. Now, for most of you people saying Jake, you're a fan of classic cinema, you like, Chaplin, Keaton, and all these classic comedic characters in cinema. How have you not seen Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters? Now, mind you, my comedy taste definitely was more in the silent film era. Granted, I mean, I love comedy from any era, but my focus was Chaplin, Keaton, and all that. But I've seen some of Abbott and Costello. I've seen work of theirs, but I've never seen these 4 films. So when I saw them in a pack, I'm like, look, it's a great opportunity to watch some really good stuff. So I did. I checked this out. And so far, in this week that I'm reviewing, I'm talking about these 2 films, and next week I'll be talking about the other 2. But I watched Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. And that movie was just a joy. Seeing these 2 great comedians, slapstick geniuses, with Frankenstein, Wolfman, and Dracula, who's played by Bela Lugosi. Lou Chaney's in the picture. And it is a lot of fun. I mean, it's just like Lon Chaney. Excuse me, not Lou, but being in there is just like, wow, man, look at all these great people in this one room. Unfortunately, I didn't get Boris Karloff to play Frankenstein, but Boris Karloff would appear later in the monster series as different characters. But just wonderful fun. It put a smile on my face. I was cracking up. You know, it's very slapstick. Bud and Lou, they just have a way of putting a smile on your face. You know, we've always known that in comedy, polar opposites work. Actually, just in general, polar opposites always work, and they are so opposite. But, I mean, I think anyone who watches this movie, even today, I could put this movie on, and they could watch Lou Costello and just crack up because he is so funny. And just seeing their interactions with these characters and their situations, just how they resolve things, is just absolutely hilarious. The last and final film I'm going to be talking about today is Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man, which isn't as good as its predecessor, but a very, very fun movie that'll put a smile on your face. There's a great, it revolves around boxing, I'll say that much. And there's a really, really great sequence, a boxing sequence, when Lou Costello is boxing another person with the Invisible Man in the ring with him, and it's just quite hilarious. He gets used to this person there. Sometimes he disappears, sometimes he's there. It's absolutely hilarious. Both very, very fun. I'm glad I picked up this collection for those two alone, even though I found out that Meet the Frankenstein is on Blu-ray, so I have to go pick up the Blu-ray for this, but I'll keep it for these three. So far, I've seen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'll give you a little hint. That's the first movie of the new week, and I'll be watching The Mummy soon this week. So next week, I'll be reviewing the final two of this series. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time out to watch my update. Again, you can always find things at ChasingCinema.com under Jacob's Journal. Click these white eyes up here, and they will drop down. You'll be able to see our top 10, my review for Dirty Grandpa, and my review for The Fifth Wave. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out and watching this video. My name is Jake Tiranno. Please continue chasing cinema.